Hello and welcome to the pilot episode. This is TJ's Mechanic Monthly, and I'm joined by Matthew Carlson live in studio. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me on the digital desk. Great to see you again. And I feel like the good place to start is how it all started. We met just a few months ago. It seems like so long ago, but we were in the parking lot at the block party,
right,
over in Fargo, outside Sweet Shots.
Yep.
Learned a little bit about Fix It Forward, and it just so happened that Jourden Redmond and Tatum Miller were kind of in the early stages of talking about some sort of auto repair segment. Here it is, the pilot episode. Let's talk about how we got here.
Well, it's super exciting. You know, we were at that event where we were giving away our 500th car in the community, and that's when we got the chance to talk with you and say, hey man, we'd love to be able to get more involved in what you guys are doing, and it ended up being a great opportunity to be able to kind of show a little bit more, help educate people on what we do and what it takes to maintain cars.
And so basically what we have developed now is this segment, learning about some basic auto maintenance. Today we're not going to go too crazy. We're going to learn a little bit about vehicle fluids. First, let's talk a little bit about Fix It Forward, because you are one of the co-founders of Fix It Forward. And one thing that needs to be understood, I believe, is it's not just auto care, it's not just ministry, it really is both.
Right. Yeah, we're kind of uniquely organized, so because we're unique, then people don't really know what we are. So what we started out was actually with Fix It Forward Ministry, which is a nonprofit based out of Fargo Moorhead that Jeremy and myself founded about 10 years ago. And that was designed to help the neediest people in our community with transportation issues, because transportation is a huge issue in our community. If you go talk to the YWCA, our local women's shelter, and ask them what their biggest barrier to independence is, they'll tell you it's transportation. There's a lot of other problems that the people there have, but they're able to solve those. Transportation is the one that gets them. So we step in to try and help with that problem so we can help launch people into being self-sustaining. And so we started that about 10 years ago. And we grew that, and eventually we just ran out of space. We were doing it out of my garage at my farm, and we ran out of space. We needed more tools, more space, more storage space, and so we started Fix It Forward Auto Care, which is just a general auto repair shop, just like any other independent auto repair shop, but that exists to enable our nonprofit. So we have the Fix It Forward Auto Care shops that enable our nonprofit by providing free space, free tools, free internet, heat, insurance, all those overhead things that the nonprofit's able to use for free, so they can take their resources and throw them straight at cars, so we can help fix cars and give cars away.
One of the things that kind of ties into that is you guys help people learn how to take care of their own cars, and you guys have workshops. I believe that's every Saturday,
right?
At the very least every Saturday. And so it's important to you guys that you guys are teaching people how to take care of their vehicle too, not just taking their vehicle and taking care of it for them.
Right. It's important that people understand their vehicles, and they keep getting more and more complex. But a lot of this basic stuff people don't know how to do, and I think it's really important that they should. So people should understand the different fluids. They should understand the importance of tire wear and alignments and when to get your brakes changed. And there's all these things that people should, that sometimes aren't that hard to do, but certainly people should at least understand. So we have work days where we're working on our nonprofit cars that we're giving away for the nonprofit, that people can come in and learn and participate in that. And we just like to generally help educate people on the challenges of having transportation.
And I remember we talked once and you said that we would be excited if we could give away 6 cars and 12 cars. Now you're up over 500. What's the number at right now?
We're at 513 cars we've given away. All of those in the Fargo Moorhead community, because we're Fargo Moorhead based. And on top of that, we also fix cars for people in need. We've fixed over 1,000 cars for people on top of that number. We just don't talk about that as much as the car giveaway.
Now, what kind of repairs do you guys typically have to make before you can get a car back on the road? I imagine every car is a little different, but there's got to be some things you see more than others.
Yeah, we do a lot of we change oil on every car before we give it away. We do a lot of brakes. We put tires on most of the cars because they tend to be worn out. A lot of general drivetrain issues, CV shafts and stuff like that. And then we do a lot of brakes. Okay. It just seems like almost every car that we get in desperately needs brakes. And so that's a very common issue that we're repairing on these cars before we give them away. But every car before we give it away, we make sure we go through a full safety test. There's no engine lights on. There's no lights on the dash at all, which we'll be seeing more about here. All the fluids are topped off and everything is safe and what we believe to be reliable.
Excellent. Well, just getting ready to get into the inaugural episode here. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we hit the play button?
Well, I think this is going to be exciting to see this. This is our first dive into this, so I can't wait to see how this goes, and hopefully people start learning. We can dive deeper and deeper in every segment.
All right, I'm going to turn our mics down and I'll play the video.
Hi, I'm T. And I'm Jay. And this is TJ's Mechanic Mondays. We all know life moves fast, and you never know when car trouble might hit.
And that's why we've teamed up with Kevin at Fix It Forward here in Fargo for a monthly segment aimed to keep you and your car rolling through the valley.
This month, we're here to help you learn more about your car and get the lowdown on some common misconceptions you might have. So hop in! TJ's Mechanic Mondays starts right now. When it comes to cars, we want to learn from professionals. So we're here in the Fix It Forward garage with Kevin. What are you going to be showing us?
Well, I would like to have you learn some terminology and maybe be better informed and know what questions to ask.
All right, Kevin. So I wanted to start off with one of the most nerve-wracking problems, at least for me. When your dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. So one of the most recognizable lights is that oil light. When that comes on, what does it mean?
Generally, when your oil light comes on, that could be two indications. Either the engine is low on oil or it's low on oil pressure. Now, if the engine is low on oil, after you've checked the engine oil, you could either add oil according to what it says on the oil cap or check your owner's manual inside your glove box.
So how do you check that oil level?
Well, there's a dipstick on the engine. You pull it out, and there's a crosshatch area, per se, on the engine oil dipstick. If it's at the bottom section of it, that means it's low on oil. You want to add at least a half a quart and recheck it again to see where the level's at.
And how do you know what kind of oil to put in your vehicle?
Usually on your engine oil cap, on your engine, there should indicate the type of oil viscosity and oil type. Otherwise, check your owner's manual or consult the manufacturer.
Yeah, and how often do you need one of those full oil changes?
Usually if it has conventional oil, it's about every 3 months or 3,000 miles, or if it's synthetic oil, about every 5 months or 6,000 miles.
All right, now speaking of fluids, windshield washer fluid is one of my favorites. I have that bad boy going all the time. So it runs out pretty quickly. How do I fill it back up?
Underneath your hood, there's going to be a bottle, and there's going to be a cap on it that has a picture like a windshield and some little squiggly lines like waves. You open that cap, fill it with either the blue washer fluid or whatever. There's a couple other brands out there, and it's translucent so you can see the level as you're filling it.
Now, I think one of the scariest lights to come on is that check engine light, because I don't really know what that means. So when that light comes on, what could that indicate?
Depending on if your engine is running rough or not, that could mean there's a misfire in the engine, or it could be various other things, sensors on the engine, or it could be part of the emissions system faulty as well.
So I've heard of engines either getting too hot or too cold. What kind of risks come along with that?
Well, if your engine is overheating, getting too hot, obviously that's a concern. You want to get that addressed as soon as you can. And if your engine is not getting up to operating temperature, it could mean that the thermostat is sticking and not allowing the engine to get up to operating temperature so it can run efficiently.
Now, speaking of temperatures, obviously we get pretty cold winters here. Is it safe to drive your car right away when it's below 32 degrees?
Generally, you want to let your engine warm up about 3 to 5 minutes when it's super cold out in January or February in our part of the country.
Of course, it gets freezing out here. So Kevin, one of the easiest lights to recognize is that gas light. So when that comes on, what does it mean?
Generally, when your gas light comes on, that means you're low on gas, and you should try to get to the gas station as soon as you can.
Of course, as soon as you can, but a lot of people wait until that light pops on to fill up their tank. Is there a sweet spot when you should actually pull over and fill up?
Well, generally, there's about a 3 to 5 gallon reserve in your gas tank, depending on the vehicle. So that being said, you should get to the nearest gas station.
All right, so say I do make it, I pull up and there's lots of options. What do each of those numbers mean on those gas tanks?
Each number means a different octane rating for that fuel. And if you open your gas store, it should be either labeled on your gas store or your gas cap.
Now, what happens if you put diesel in a car just like this?
If you put diesel in a car like this, that means your car will not run. It will not run on diesel.
Don't want to make that mistake.
Correct.
Now, Kevin, kind of my last question for you is about a light. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it has some squiggly lines and a car driving on it.
That generally indicates that your traction control, there's a problem going on with the traction control system, which also could lead into an issue with the anti-lock brake system, which the anti-lock brake system is when it's icy out, it eliminates your tires from locking up on the ice to give you better control and better stability.
Okay, so when you have traction problems, is that when you want to bring your car into a shop?
If your light is on, absolutely. You don't want to be driving around and not have total control of your vehicle.
Yeah, like you said, especially in these North Dakota winters where it gets pretty icy on the roads.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for letting us into your shop, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you on next month's episode of TJ's Mechanic Mondays.
Well, I got to give it to everybody involved. Kevin did a fantastic job there. I really want to tip the cap to Alex, who is our primary creative director on that. Some very cool shots and a lot of useful information there. Fun little pilot episode.
Yeah, you know, we didn't dive into a lot of details on that because we just want to cover the overhead, but Kevin has a long and extensive background in auto repair. Was a technician for a long time. He was a service advisor for a long time. Now he's a manager of one of our shops. So he'll be able to do a really great job of teaching them these different areas so everybody else can learn from that.
Well, you know, it's obviously early September right now, but I know that cars can really see a lot of challenges in the winter. One of the many topics we have coming up is just how to take care of your car in the winter, what to do in worst case scenarios, and a lot more useful information. So I'm very excited for the next few episodes to trickle out here. And this will be the beginning of every month. So this is just the tip of the iceberg for us.
Yeah, we're really excited. There's so many different areas about car maintenance that are important. And so being able to just feed this to people so they can learn it over time as it becomes appropriate. You know, next spring we can start talking about air conditioning things, right? And maybe summer travel type things as we get into that. Right now, of course, it'll be really good to get into some of the winter driving, the tires and the traction control, stuff like that. It's a really great topic.
Excellent. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Well, I'm just really thankful for the opportunity to help people understand their cars a little bit better so they know what maintenance needs to be done, because if you do the maintenance up front, the car costs you less in the long run.
That's Matthew Carlson, the co-founder at Fix It Forward Ministries. And Matthew, thank you so much for joining. Great to have you in studio for this one today, and we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for the next Fix It Forward partnership with Valley News Live. And keep it here for TJ's Mechanic Monthly, only on Valley News Now.